It's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Shout out to the channel sponsor, NoGiBJJGear.com. Go check them out. Don't forget to use my code Ramsey10 for a 10% discount off everything on their website. Great spats, shorts, rash guards, etc. Now on with the questions. This first one comes from our friend Yaron. He just started giving private lessons to a friend. This is the first time that he has seriously trained someone. He's teaching some boxing and kickboxing, and he's trying to do some light sparring like I recommend on this channel. But his student has a really hard time pulling his punches. And at first it wasn't a big problem because he could avoid most of his punches because the dude was new, didn't really know what he was doing, but now he's getting better. And now this guy's landing those punches, and they got bad intentions behind them. Our friend Yaron is getting lit up a bit, and he's not liking it. So he wants to know what he should do in this situation. He says this: I keep telling him to go light, but recently it becomes a huge problem since I taught him enough so he can hit me pretty frequently, unless I take it up a notch. But then I hurt him. So every time we spar, he throws bombs and hits some of them. And then I go home with mild headaches and I fear brain damage and that it would hurt my MMA career. So my question is, how can I teach him to go light? And should I fear brain damage from a mild headache after a sparring session? Well, Yaron, any strike to the head, blunt force trauma to the head causes brain damage. Whether it's a little bit or a lot, that depends on how many strikes you're taking and how hard you're getting hit and how much your brain is bouncing around inside that liquid inside your skull. Getting hit is not good for you. Surprise. So what should you do? Man, I had a student kind of like this. Once, he wanted to learn how to box, and the dude would throw bombs at me, but that was okay because he didn't know how to land them, so I just slipped, felt pretty good about myself until his boxing got better over the years, and then he started landing those bombs on me. And I remember one day, I had headgear on, and we had big giant gloves on, and I specifically said we were going to do a very, very light, just touch sparring drill, like a positional sparring drill, just touch. I even gave him an example. And he threw a right hook so hard and so heavy that it cut me through the headgear. I was seeing lights. I was almost knocked out from this punch. He put so much power, so much explosion into that punch. I was like, man, in what universe is that a light contact punch? I'm not talking about a little pepper behind it. And he cut me, broke the skin through the headgear. Man, that's how much power there was behind this. I had like this massive bruising on the whole side of my face for about a week. And yeah, man, I had to pull him aside and say, look, that's not a sustainable level to spar. Like, I know you have power. You know you have power. That's not in question. What we are trying to do is improve our boxing skills right here. And if we are murdering each other, if we're going so hard that we're knocking each other out and cutting each other up through the headgear, that's too much. You got to bring it down, or I am not going to do this with you anymore. And that can be difficult to say if you got that young man's ego, or if you got that machismo type of drive behind you, like you just can't say no to a challenge. I understand that, I get that, but in the interest of your health and your safety, if you're getting lit up and this guy is incapable of pulling the punches, then remove yourself from that situation. Now, our next question comes from our friend Red Chucks. If you don't know Red Chucks, go check out his channel. He's got some awesome content on there. Breaking stacks of bricks and concrete and some sparring stuff and some great talks. He does a great Q&A as well, so go check out Red Chucks. But he sent me a question about a guy that he was training. And he doesn't have a problem with the power output. It's kind of the opposite problem, right? So Red Chucks is sparring with this new guy, and he's trying to go light to teach this guy, okay, you could get hit here, you could get hit here. He's basically, touch sparring at first, but he notices this specific new guy is not respecting the strike like touches him on the chin. It didn't hurt, so I don't need to bring my hands up, don't need to defend myself against that. He's not really getting the message. So how do you more effectively teach the guy? Because, you know, if he goes harder, yeah, he's going to hurt him. If he hits the guy with his full... I mean, this guy can headbutt through concrete. I kid you not. Go check that out. Headbutt through 2 slabs of concrete. He's a wild man, this Red Chucks. Interesting fellow. So, how do you get the message across? Intelligently defend yourself to your students without lighting them up. Some guys will get it right away. If you just touch them, they'll be like, oh, I get it. I need to not be in that position where you can tap me on the side of the chin, because if you did that hard, you'd knock me out. And some guys, it doesn't really register. What I do with new students, especially guys who don't know how to intelligently defend themselves, like they couldn't hit me if they wanted to, but they're still not covering up. Right? They're still not moving the way they should. They're not using their footwork. They don't have their guard up or anything like that. And I touch them repeatedly. I keep doing it, and I keep doing it, and I keep doing it. And eventually, most of the time, it gets through. Like, oh, I need to keep my defense up. And if I don't, somebody else is going to teach them that lesson in a very pragmatic way. Usually what happens... the way I structure my classes, and I know Red Chucks does one-on-one training at home, right? But I'm in the gym, and I got like 20 guys there in the class, and we're sparring. Every round we rotate, change partners, right? They'll go with me. They'll get tag, here. And if it doesn't click, they go with spar with somebody who has less control. And they get lit up a little bit. And they're like, oh. I don't think I really understood how weak my defense was until I got just brutalized in a fight. I don't think I really got it. Unfortunately, some of us are just so thick in the head that we have to take some hard knocks before we get it. Now, I'm not telling you to go beat up your students, but, man. Now, some of you might be interpreting this question a little bit differently. You might be thinking, well, I'm throwing a kick, like I'm throwing a side kick right here, but I'm not putting power in it, and I'm pulling it, so he's not knocked off balance. He's not injured, and so he's kicking me back. Whereas if I put full power in that side kick, it would have knocked him through the wall, would have hurt him, and then he wouldn't have been able to get that counter in. Let me see, I think I have a video of that exact thing happening to me. I'm sparring with my student Jason. I throw a very light side kick, and he counters with a leg kick. And I could get all mad and angry in my mind. Well, if I put full power in that, it would have knocked him across, and he would not have been able to land that leg kick. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. Sure. But, and there's always a but, the type of reaction you get from a full contact strike is going to be highly variable. Think about groin strikes for a minute. If you kick a man in the groin, how will he react? Well, that's highly variable. Some guys will just crumple into a mess right away. Some guys will have a delayed reaction and be like, oh, that hurts. Some guys will just be high off their mind and pain won't even register. So you're going to have highly variable reactions, and maybe you were off center or something and you didn't actually hit him where you thought you did. Or you didn't hit him as hard as you thought you did. And you're going to get a very different reaction. My second professional kickboxing match, I was fighting this dude from El Salvador who had a body like a Roman statue. He had the glistening abs and this barrel chest, and he was just this solid, muscular dude. And I remember kicking him in the midsection as hard as I could. Like a kick that if it hit me, it would have broken my ribs. And I kicked him as hard as I could, and it just bounced off of him like it was nothing. And he just shrugged, and he was like, so what? And he just kept going and kept going. And every time I hit him with everything I had, all my power, it didn't even faze him. And this was really confusing to me because this was my second professional fight. I'd done tons of sparring, had a whole 10-year taekwondo career where I'd hit people upside the head and dropped them and all this stuff, and I thought I knew what I was doing. And all of a sudden there's this juggernaut coming at me, this tiny juggernaut coming at me, and nothing in my arsenal would faze him. You're going to get highly variable reactions from full contact power with different people. Had this big giant student, big strongman type of guy, and when he would paw at me with his jab, it would knock me back so far with so much force. Man, and that was him being nice. So different power levels, different people, different types of durability, everybody's different. That goes without saying. But what you need to do is abide by the first rule of mixed martial arts. Yeah, we're going to talk about rules here. And I know Red Chucks trains for self-defense exclusively, not for ring fighting, not for sport fighting, but I'm going to tell you, adhere to the first rule of mixed martial arts, of the sport of mixed martial arts. Protect yourself at all times. So if you throw a sidekick, right, and you throw it slow and nice and you pull it, and it doesn't knock the guy back and it doesn't do that thing that you believe it would do if you were throwing with bad intentions. Rechamber quick, reposition quick. This is an excellent opportunity to teach yourself better habits, to develop better habits. So it's not just about teaching that other guy, it's about teaching yourself too. Because eventually, the guy gets tagged in the chin enough, and he knows you can punch through concrete, 10 slabs with a 1-inch punch or whatever that is you do. Super impressive breaks this guy can do. He's going to put 2 and 2 together eventually. But you have a unique opportunity to learn to put yourself in positions where you become untouchable. Where you can hit him, where you can land that side kick and then move quicker, without having to put the power behind it, because one day, you might fight that guy, that juggernaut, where you blast him with everything you have and it doesn't give you the response that you want. And so you have to reprogram yourself. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. If you have questions for the next Q&A, please leave them in the comments down below. I read your comments. I love them. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.